Hey guys, Nick here. I'm going to go ahead and just state the obvious. This is a marketing tool for my real estate business. I've been a realtor for 20 years right here in Nashville. But who wants to listen to a boring podcast about real estate? Good news, it's not. This is a podcast about people that I've built relationships with since I moved here in 1988. If what I stand for resonates with you and you're looking to buy or sell a home in this area, let's talk. No pressure, just a conversation, kind of like this podcast.
This is the 615 Podcast with your host, veteran realtor and entrepreneur, Nick Woodard.
All right, guys, today we've got a friend of mine that has one of the coolest jobs in Nashville. He's the manager for country music superstar Brantley Gilbert and up-and-coming rising star Austin G. My good buddy, Aaron Keiser.
Thanks for having me.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, dude?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fun.
All right, so first and foremost, I know because my wife's a manager, but let's start with this. For people that may not know, what is a manager's responsibility in the music industry? Like, I know that's literally 1,000 hats, but
that is that. I am an adult babysitter that gets paid fairly well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything. It's from, managing expectations to managing 35 different people on the road. I mean, we have a tour manager for that, but also there's problems that arise out there too that you got to deal with, and that, what you do in the office affects the road and vice versa. And yeah, it's contracts, it's social media, it's TikTok. It's,
I'll say that's kind of new to the game. Like since you came in, all the social media and the, influencing and branding and stuff like that. So what all does Brantley do with that?
Oh gosh. He hates it. He doesn't have his passwords for it. He absolutely hates it. But he was so good at it, and we were just talking about Steve.
Oh, he's phenomenal on Instagram.
But, MySpace and Facebook and all that sort of stuff, that was a thing already, so the social media was already present. There just wasn't that many outlets or that many different variations of social media at the time. And now there's, 100 different apps you have to keep up with constantly. Right. And they're like, you have to use our platform or your algorithm's not going to be right, or, all these sorts of things. But Brantley, I mean, he is so good at it.
His personality is perfect for short clips. It's phenomenal.
Biggest, dumbest redneck we know.
I've got a couple stories I want to tell here kind of when we get going. But let's kind of get to you first and foremost. So I've known Brantley for, 12, 13 years. And I know he's very loyal to his people.
To a fault.
Tell us the story how you got to become this highly desired position. I mean, that's a big deal with a big artist. So kind of tell us the story how that unfolded.
It's a major deal, right? We talked about this earlier before we got here, but I was from Washington State. I was running a company with a friend, and I had left that business and was kind of just trying to figure out what my next moves were, if I was going to go start another company or whatever that looked like. And I was bartending and met Steve Tussman, Brantley's personal assistant at the time, 10 years ago, where kind of how we met. Yeah. And he was like, "Hey man, do you know music business?" And I was like, I know business. I just don't know music business. I said, but
so you had no background in music?
Not a clue. But
wow.
So
that makes it even more impressive. Like you're competing with all the Belmont folks and the people that had internships and all that.
Yeah, but that was my college. That was my Belmont, right?
Yeah,
so Steve was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey, teach me for 30 days and then put me on salary." Well, that lasted 8 months, and I was like, "Hey, we got to figure this out. What's next steps here?" And so, we figured that out, and then I just slowly, day by day, and I talked about this, previously on some other stuff, but the TNTs, the takes no talent.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that on another podcast.
Yeah, it takes no talent to wake up, show up, be early, be disciplined, all of those things. It doesn't take any talent to do that. It takes talent to be, Tom Brady,
right.
But it also takes no talent to do the certain things that he does do. But he's obviously a naturally gifted, talented human being. But there's also a lot of the TNTs that, just have to happen.
So you do the stuff that other people don't want to do.
Don't want to do
with a smile on your face, and that's how you get
desirable.
recognized.
Yeah. And so I slowly got recognized, within Brantley's kind of inner circle, Rich Egan over at Heart 8, at the time he needed an iPhone, and this was in the middle of the breakup, if you will, with Jana, and Rich needed an iPhone charger, and I just happened to be in the same room, or I heard it in earshot, and we were upstairs on this rooftop on a studio in on Music Row, and I was like, shoot, somebody downstairs has got to have an iPhone charger for this guy. Like, maybe this is like a great like stepping stone or whatever. And I didn't.
Please put a phone charger.
Yeah. And so, dude, I bolted downstairs. And I was like, hey, kid at the front desk, like, do you have a cell phone charger? And he goes, yeah, here. I was like, okay, I'll bring it back to you when I'm done. And he goes, okay, cool. And so I ran it up and I said, here you go, sir. And he just looked at me like, who the F is this guy, right? Like, how did you know? And I was like, well, just take it. And so he just plugged it in. And like from that day forward, Rich knew who I was just by grabbing a cell phone charger. It was the dumbest thing that awesome. Took no talent.
I love that.
I heard it. I executed. I made it happen. Yeah. And, that kind of slowly led me into becoming his day-to-day manager and then ultimately becoming his manager. We, Brantley had left Heart 8 and I, kind of followed suit, and we did a stint at Morris Heim for a long time. And then, we now just recently are at Red Light since February. So
you like, and obviously this is kind of new. Red Light's a bigger management company.
Yeah, massive company. I love Morris Heim. I love all those guys there. It was just a time for a change of pace, something different. And so we went over to Red Light, and I mean, the resources and the things you can do there and that sort of stuff. It's just easier to have more resources, I guess, in a sense. And
I remember I had an opportunity once, sat down with Corn Capshaw. Interesting dude.
Very,
very, very interesting dude.
But the nicest guy. Hates losing. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we're on the same page.
And for people who don't know, he started Dave Matthews. Wasn't that kind of how he broke
Dave
into
Matthews,
it?
Like he started that, and like, now his rosters, gosh, I don't know how many artists.
Huge.
200 artists, 250 artists. He's from what I understand, I think he's the largest, developer in Virginia or West Virginia, something like that. And he's slowly becoming one of them here. And I tell this to everybody. I don't know how he does what he does. Like, he doesn't stop. He's readily available at all times of the day. And if he's not, like, if you call him, he'll text you right away. If he's busy, just be like, hey, I'm in the middle of something. I'll call you in 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, boom. Like,
didn't he buy like Bonnaroo or something? He was part of Bonnaroo.
Yeah, he's part of that whole festival. Yeah. I don't know if he owns it. I don't know what his deal is, but I know that's a major part of his business is Bonnaroo as well.
That's cool, man.
But interesting guy.
I want to bring up something, hypothetically speaking. I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. How would you handle this as a manager? All right.
Oh boy.
So picture this: your artist is at the Nashville airport, headed to Vegas for the ACM Awards. All right. He's going through security, and something is found in his carry-on baggage. so he is detained. This causes him to almost miss his flight with the other people in his group. The item that is discovered happened to be a microphone with a strange set of brass knuckles on the microphone.
This sounds wildly familiar.
Yeah, that actually happened.
That did happen.
Yeah, I got to see that, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, I wasn't
Has he ever
there
told
for
you
that.
the story?
No, I've heard it 100 times. But I wasn't there for that. But I mean, if I were in like that management position and I was with him, I'd be like, oh, those are mine. Sorry. Like, just so he could go through it. That's a paperweight. That's what we did actually with the label.
I was gonna say, he's got to carry that all the time, or you figured out not to now.
Yeah. Well, it goes in a road case now, but we had George Briner at our label, Big Machine. We gave these brass knuckles away as a gift to all the label execs and all that sort of stuff. I think it was for a number one or some sort of like RIAA certification, something like that. So we gave all these brass knuckles away that were engraved. And so George is going through security, and he's an older white-haired gentleman, like completely unassuming, like not that he's a tough guy, but not the toughest guy. And so they go through security. He gets pulled. They're doing the whole search, taking him to the back room, and they pull out the brass knuckles. And they're like, "Hey, what is this?" He goes, "Oh, it's a paperweight." That's how he got away with it. He said it was a paperweight.
Okay.
And they put it back in the bag, and he still has them.
I will never forget that. They pulled Brantley aside, and I'm running downtown to get on the plane and look over, and I see him in this little holding room. And he looks up, we make eye contact, and he gives me the "don't say an effing word" look.
I know the look. Oh, man.
It was so funny. He ended up getting on the plane. We got there, and everything was great. But another funny story about that trip, this had to be in, I guess, like 2012. So he was doing the Vegas is ACM, right?
Yes.
Yeah, ACMs.
Yeah. It's in Texas now, but yeah.
Yeah. So he was doing that, and we were gambling a little bit, and he was at the roulette table, and I remember he put like, I don't remember what the dollar amount was, $1,000, whatever. Doesn't matter, part of the story. So he hits it, boom. He was like, "Let it ride." Hits it, boom. Let it ride. Hits it again. Then he goes, one more. And the guy, the pit boss or whatever, comes up, taps him on the shoulder and goes, "Mr. Brantley, I highly recommend you walk away right now because you're about to lose everything." And he paid attention, walked away. Yeah, man.
Gosh.
I was proud of him.
Good for him. Yeah. He knows. We were in ACMs. I forget how many years ago now, when it was still in Vegas, and Aldine had texted Brantley. I was like, "Hey, we're at the high limit, blackjack table. Come play with us." I didn't know Aldine is a damn blackjack player.
Yeah.
Like, he was running the whole, the table was full. Brantley takes a seat. I don't know how much money they're gambling, but it was a lot. There's a lot of black
I've never been
chips
invited to those rooms. Yeah,
I just stood back, and I was like, my bank account doesn't fit this table right now. We'll just spectate. And dude, I'm telling you, Brantley was there, we were there probably for an hour, maybe at max. Joker walked away with like 80 grand. And I was like, no.
See, I'm not wired that way, man. I can't.
No. Yeah. And then we went and sat down. I'm not going to name the other artist, but their tour manager, we were walking back, and he goes, "Oh, dude, I'm going to sit down with him. We know him. Like, we're friends, cordial, whatever." So we sat down. Brantley lost like 20 grand. And he goes, "God dang it, I should have just left." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, you're still up like 60 grand. You'll be okay." But yeah, I didn't realize, like, Aldine and those boys, like, they play some blackjack. Yeah, they played blackjack. It was wild.
Well, speaking of, tell us a little bit about, we're almost in the touring season. So, y'all got a big production now. Like, how many buses and trucks are y'all pulling now?
Was it three or four trucks? It's a massive production, and it is. We are in touring season now. Like, Brantley kicked off middle of February or top of March, end of March, top of February.
Who's with him?
We have Austin Snell out, first of three.
Oh, he's great.
He's phenomenal. And Colt's been out with us on a couple dates. Anyways,
it's all good. We'll put the tour on the show notes.
Yeah. But no, he's fantastic tour. Blackstone Cherry's out with us too. We just did the Athens show in Brantley's hometown. So that was fun. But yeah, we got
my cousin was down there and actually texted me that Brantley was he was doing a show down there, and my cousin was actually at, I guess it was the frat boxing was going on at the same time.
It was like Aikens Ford Arena, and then it was the convention center or whatever that's right there. And there was a big boxing tournament, because it was like Parents Weekend or something. In Georgia.
That's why he's there. His boy goes to Georgia.
Oh, nice. Yeah. But yeah, we got 3 or 4 trucks now, depending on the the event or where we're at. If it's a festival, it's down to 2 trucks. We got 4 or 5 buses. Brantley's 5 buses. Yeah, Brantley just got a new bus, and man, they're
so walk us through, for those that may not know. You're in the music industry. I've been around it my whole life, just because my wife's in it. But And I know you're not on the road as much as the manager. That's kind of the touring manager. But walk us through what like a regular show day looks like. Like,
yeah,
you're pulling into an area. You've already done all the stuff behind the scenes. Like, what does a show day look like?
Yeah.
How do they prep for everything?
Man, it's crazy. I mean, we got 35, 40 guys on staff. Plus once we, get there to the loading dock, there's, the stagehands and the labor that's there helping unpack all these trucks, right at 7:30, 8 a.m. And they're walking and chalking, making, the footprint for where, the barricade goes, where the staging goes, where the rigging is, on the,
so that's
on the
all
ceiling.
y'all's responsibility. It's not the venue.
No, they give us the plans of,
Okay.
hey, this is what the ceiling looks like. This is,
Right.
whatever. And we give them, hey, this is our footprint. How do we adjust accordingly? Because sometimes the loading dock, like in Aikens Ford Arena, just last weekend, that loading dock isn't that big. That backstage area is not big. And there's some, arenas that you got all the room in the world, to put stuff. And like we had to unload the trucks, take all the equipment out and load it back up because there's just no room back there. But yeah, so they'll, walk and chalk, check all the footprints, whatever, where front of house is going, run all the cables, run all the lights, run all the sound, everything, and then hopefully start sound checking testing everything by, 1, 2 o'clock. Brantley's sound checks typically 2 o'clock, 2:30. And so they'll do that. And then, the opening acts will come up and have their time. And hopefully everything's done by 6 o'clock or 5:45 when doors is. And yeah, it's a run and gun situation. As soon as we touch down, those dudes are off the truck. They're unloading everything. They're setting everything up. Guitars are strung or, whatever it is. Drums are tuned.
So like, what are the artists doing during this time?
Shoot, Brantley's on phoners. Brantley's on liners.
Right.
He's calling me, hey, we're at this venue. There's X amount of radio staff here. We're setting up a radio room or we're setting up, hospitality room, friends and family room, backstage.
So people aren't just sitting there just killing time, screwing around. Like there's stuff going on.
Yeah, there can be a lot of dead time. It just depends on where we're at and what we're doing. But yeah, there typically is not a whole lot of dead time. Everybody's running and gunning, doing something. Everybody needs something, or if somebody else needs help, or if somebody's, kind of sick that day, who's picking up the slack. Right. It's a family environment out there. But yeah, as soon as they touch down at 7:30, it's game time. They're setting everything up to make a show happen. And a lot of people, you buy a ticket to a show, or probably not you, but general public, they're buying a ticket to a show. They walk in, they see all the, fun lights and sound, music's playing. As soon as they walk in, it's inviting, it's fun, it's a party moment, right? We throw parties for a living, but they didn't see the hours of work that just went into it, or, the city that we came from before, was it 600 miles? Was it 400 miles? How far was that drive? What happened during the middle of the night? Did a bus break down? Did they blow a tire? Did that, a trailer come loose? Like, what does that look like? The night before or the days leading up to, nobody thinks about that. They just think about, hey, I spent, $150 or, in Brantley's case, we try and ticket our prices very, strategically so everybody can enjoy a show and get a babysitter. And
he puts on a hell of a show.
Do the productions.
It's
very costly, but it is
more than it used to be.
Yeah. It is such a rock show. Like, we learned a lot when we went out with Nickelback, and everybody, like Brantley, Corey, our tour manager, and everybody, like, they're so in tune with what Brantley is, what his brand is. Like, they've had their production in line. And like, when we went out with Nickelback,
don't you love how everybody talks so much shit about Nickelback, but everybody deep down loves them?
Yeah, there was 25,000 people every night
actually hated Nickelback.
No. And if you're by yourself and that Nickelback song comes on, you're rolling your windows up, but that volume's going up too, so nobody hears you singing. But no, that tour was fun, and we did learn a lot with those guys. But I got a lot of texts, and this is zero offense to Nickelback at all, but everybody's like, dude, Brantley is a headliner. I was like, of course, he's been headlining forever. And they're like, no, he should have been the headliner on those shows. And I was like, hey, we're out here with some friends, we're having fun, we're making memories. Like, that's what it's all about. But yeah, everybody's like, dude, Brantley's production and show is
such a good show.
Fucking unreal.
Such a good show, man. And he's such a fantastic person, man. He's always been a great friend to me. I don't think he's ever not responded to a text or not called me back. The guy's tough as nails, but a lot of people know he's extremely compassionate. Like he's, I don't want to call him a softie by any means, but like the dude is what the stories I've heard of what he did over COVID is just, tell us a little bit about that. What happened when they pulled you guys off the road and how he took care of people.
That will stick with me forever. You know, there was a lot of guys, you know, that there was 4 guys in particular that I knew of that were show pay guys. So for those who don't know, if you're on show pay, you're getting paid per show. Yeah. Yep. Pretty standard.
There's no shows. There's no pay.
No pay. Yeah. And then that's up to you. So you fill your, you know, free time with whatever extra work you have to make money and pay your bills. Now, everybody else is on salary. So if we're not playing shows, they're still getting paid. They can still go do extra stuff to go make money as well. Brantley was like, hey, who's not on salary? That's the first, like, that was his first call. Okay, let's average them out for the last 2 years. What would their salary have looked like? Okay, great. Let's put them on salary because they have kids, they have family. Even if they didn't, they're still a human being. We're still going to pay them. And so that's the approach that he took. You know, he had an emergency fund, quote unquote, for moments like this, or if he wanted to take a year off and just not do a thing.
Such awesome forward thinking.
He would still be able to, you know, have the means to pay everybody and, you know, have that. So yeah, during COVID was a wild time, and we were blessed during COVID, you know, to obviously spend time with kids and that sort of stuff and whatever. But
yours were babies then, weren't they?
One was a baby.
One was a baby. One wasn't here.
We just had one during COVID. He was 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I don't know how old he was at the time, but I mean, we were just riding around on Polaris all the time. But yeah, like during COVID, Brantley. I mean, we know a lot of artists that just cut everybody off at the knees, you know, I mean, and major artists at that. I mean, we're not going to name names, but we know several that just said, nope, you're done. Like, you know, good luck. We love you. But Brantley's like, no, I love you. Like, and talk about, you know, what we were talking about earlier, loyal to a fault. Yeah. Like that's Brantley. Right. And he just figured it out and, you know, had that forward thinking of here's an emergency fund for, you know, times like this, we can afford it. Everybody don't worry. Like we got it. Like if you need to go to school during this time, online school and learn, you know, HTML or podcasting or whatever that is, go learn it while you can. You know, we don't know when
that creates loyalty back to him as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it was a wild time, but yeah, we enjoyed COVID for what it was. And then coming back was just weird. It was, you know, he hated it because he's, you know, he's like, I'm not going to mask up. I'm not getting, you know, the Fauci ouchie or not, you know, and not doing all that.
I'm willing to bet he's a pure blood.
Yeah. So I think there was enough alcohol in that system that if COVID struck that man, it wouldn't touch him anymore. So he was good sport about it all. And, you know, he got to do a bunch of stuff with his kids and wife and family too, that he wouldn't normally do. So yeah.
Well, man, I know you hear a lot of, or you see a lot of crazy stuff and a lot of crazy stories. I have to hear the story of Amber giving birth in the tour bus.
Oh, dude. Wild. Talk about a scary woman.
Oh yeah.
She is the sweetest little angel ever, but for her to deliver a baby with no like medications or anything like that. Like,
so y'all were on tour. She was in the bus.
Yeah.
And goes into labor.
Brantley thought, and Amber thought too, you know, hey, we got 2 weeks. Like we're good. Touring's about to end, you know, and we had 2 weeks of touring left. We're good. And we had a midwife out. They had a midwife out, you know, all the things. And she was like, we'll just carry on business as usual. We'll just take all the family with us for these next 2 weeks, just in case. And the midwife as well. So Brantley's bus was loaded down with all the kids, the whole family, midwife, bus driver, you know, everybody. And I forget no, they were, where were they? I forget where they were, Mississippi. And I get a call. It was like 9:47 from our tour manager, or like 9:17, something like that. And I'm like, it's this time, but Brantley's on stage. Why is he calling me right now? And like, typically, like, if it's an emergency, like it's a phone call. If Corey needed something, it'd be a text, right? But he calls me and I was like, oh shit. So I answer and he goes, it's happening. We're having a baby. It's going down. Blah, blah, blah. They're on the bus right now. And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, yeah, like it's going down right now. We're in Mississippi. And I was like, dude, don't worry about me. Go worry about the 6,000 people in the arena right now. Tell them to go get a beer or stop by the merch stand. Let them know. And
we're going to take this brief intermission to go pop this kid out. And we'll be right back.
And that's exactly what happened.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he came back, right?
Came back.
Finished the show. Yep. Left for a little bit.
Yep.
Saw his...
Like 45 minutes. It was like in total. So Amber was in the back of the lounge, or the back of the bus, reading a book. And she texts Corey. She's like, hey, I need my midwife ASAP. And so that happened. Corey cut the show, pulled Brantley off. They stopped the show. The artists and band members and all that were with us, they just went and signed autographs, gave out drumsticks, all that sort of stuff. Meanwhile, Amber's on the bus, on the front lounge, just giving birth. Brantley's got his pom-poms, just doing his thing and, rolling up his sleeves on that. And, she popped out a baby and then, popped out a baby. Jesus.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. But, and so that all happened. And then, the venue was like, hey, if he can get back on in 15 minutes, like we could probably finish this show. Oh. And Corey was like, ooh, like this is probably not the moment where I go up on the bus. Say, hey,
what a story though.
You got 15 minutes. Yeah, we can do this. Yeah. And so, and Amber just looked at Brantley and was like, hey, like there's 6,000 people out there. Go give them what they came for. And so like hats off to Amber for that. And hats off for Brantley for wanting to do that. Right. We could have easily been like, hey, we can refund this entire show and never, not think about it. We'll reschedule it, whatever.
But then you don't have the story.
But then we don't have the story.
You don't have the story.
And everybody's like, we got a lot of shit for it online. Like, oh, this is a publicity stunt. It's like, I'm not sure giving birth is a publicity stunt, but if it was, pretty wild. But yeah, so Amber was like, hey, like this gives me a moment with my kid. Let me clean up. Let me have the skin to skin. Let me have that moment. Once you're done, we'll have family time. So he went back on stage and was like, hey, Mississippi, we just had a kid and they just lost their ever loving mind. And then, played the show. Like it was a moment. It was wild.
Well, I wanted to discuss something else. It's kind of known around town that your camp likes to prank each other. So recently, Brantley was gifted a new pet for his farm. Can you tell us about how that unfolded?
I will gladly tell you this story.
And are you responsible for this?
My buddy Brandon Harrell, who's a helicopter pilot out of Texas, dear friend of mine. He owns a whitetail ranch in Texas.
Is he the one that takes y'all hog helicopter hunting?
He was actually how I met him was through another buddy, Ryan, down in Texas. Brandon was flying for Red Bull at the time. Or a Black Rifle, and now he flies for Red Bull too. He flies for everybody. He's just a badass dude. Well, so Brandon's birthday was coming up, and I was like, well, fuck, I gotta get this guy something. It's his 40th. Like it means something to him. He's been there for me for a lot, whether he knows it or not. And I was like, I just got to get him something. I don't know what to get the guy. He's like Brantley's first world problems. Like if I want something, I'll go get it. Right. And so I was like, well, shit, he's got, like 4,000 acres. He's got plenty of land. Like I was just peacocks. So I bought Brandon, with another buddy of mine, Drew, we bought him, 2 females and a male, thinking they're going to
what's a procreate. Peacock going for these
$100 cheap, and you can find them quick in Texas. Gotcha. And so I called Drew and I was like, hey,
I'm not up to date with the peacock market.
I got you. So I was like, hey Drew, can we get some peacocks? He goes, yeah, not a problem. I'll just deliver it, because they do like, they're freaks athletes, and so like they wake up at like 4 a.m. to work out at 4:30 in Brandon's hangar. And so Drew grabbed the peacocks on the way to the ranch and delivered them in the ranch. And he calls me, he goes, "You're such an asshole for these. I hate peacocks because they're so loud. They're a beautiful bird, but they're so loud." And so we had a laugh about it. And I was at dinner with Brantley, Corey, and our bus driver, Kevin. We were at dinner, and I was telling Brantley, I showed him the video, and he goes, "Dude, that's hilarious." And so he texts Brandon and was like, "Hey, haha, how's your peacocks?" And Brandon's like, "Yeah, go F yourself. Like, just whatever. I hate Aaron for all this, whatever." And so we had a good laugh. And I text Brandon on the side. I was like, "Hey, Brantley's birthday's coming up. Like, do we get him a donkey or something?" He goes, "Yeah, give me like 10 minutes. He calls me and he goes, "Hey, I got a zebra." I was like, "No, you don't." He's like, "Yeah, I got a zebra." And I said, "All right, deal." And so we were trying to like,
I mean, a zebra's got to be more than $100.
more than $100.
Okay, let's just go with that.
It was in total with a donkey, because I didn't know this, but a zebra, if it travels by itself, will stress itself out and ultimately kill itself.
Okay.
So they have to have a travel companion. So in total, it was $6,300 for a zebra, a donkey, and transportation to and from.
But the content was worth every penny.
Every penny. Every penny. So we were logistically, like, this turned into a whole operation. We called it Operation Stripes, because we were on all these duck hunts, and we're trying to figure out, timing with Brantley's actual birth date and what the party plan was with Amber and Colby, and the red tape of having an exotic animal in Georgia. And like, there's all these things, because in Texas, it's the Wild West. Nobody cares if you have a zebra or an elephant or a giraffe. Like, it's just standard yard art in Georgia, in Texas, but in Georgia, it's like red tape. You got to call a DNR. And Colby, Brantley's brother, was like, "Hey, this is a lot more than anticipated." And I was like, "All right, well, hey, we got to figure it out." 'Cause like, Operation Stripes is in full force. Like, there's no coming back from this. And so, Brandon had his truck and trailer loaded up and had a driver go deliver it. It was a couple days after his birthday. And I'm in a meeting with Steve Astafin, a dear friend of mine. He's like Machine Gun Kelly's manager. I'm in a meeting with him, and I had kind of gave him a forewarning. I was like, "Hey, like, I got a tracking device on, this gift that's going to Brantley." He's like, "Okay, cool. Like, can we still have the meeting?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he goes, I was like, "But it's a zebra." And he goes, "What the a zebra?" I was like, "Yeah, and a donkey. Here's the whole story." And so I have my phone face up, and I'm just waiting for this phone call. And so Brantley calls. He goes, "Hey, buddy, I'm looking at a zebra and a donkey right now. Like, what do I do with this?" I was like, "Hey, buddy, I am literally in the middle of a meeting right now.
Sorry, figure it out.
Enjoy it. Have fun. Pet the thing. Don't pet the thing. I don't care what you do with it. I gotta go." And so that was that. But man, the internet ate it up. They thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
It was so good. So did he keep them? Are they down on the farm?
Yeah. So there was because of all the red tape and like with the DNR regulations and all that sort of stuff, there's actually a lady 12 minutes down the road from Brantley's house that Colby, Brantley's brother, had found on like some exotic animals list. He had called her and was like,
"Would you like to adopt
hey, we have this coming. Like, there's no stopping it. You got room?" And she goes, "Oh my goodness, I would absolutely love to have this, because I have a female." I was like, "Oh, perfect, Colby, this is a male." So like, we're like, "Hey, we don't care what you do with the zebra. Like, it's just yours if you want it."
Zebras in Jefferson, Georgia.
Right? Why? Because why not? And so she was super accommodating. She's like, "Hey, listen, like, if Brantley ultimately gets, all the fencing and permitting and all that for the zebra, he can have it. But in the meantime, I'll host it here as long as he wants. Like, they have rights to come see it whenever they want. Just text me, hey, here's the gate code. It's yours. It's just here.
Just go visit your zebra."
Yeah, go visit your zebra. So he ultimately kept the donkey on the property as just a piece of yard art to play with the goats or whatever. And he's still got the zebra technically. So yeah, it's still there.
Well, man, one of the cool perks that you have, obviously y'all are connected with a lot of outdoorsmen, being outdoorsmen yourself, but like, I've seen you do, the hog hunting from the helicopter. Y'all go on these awesome duck hunts, elk hunts, but my favorite of always wanted to do this. You went noodling for catfish with Jeff and Bear and Hannah, or in Hannah Bear.
Yeah. Hannah,
Jeff and Hannah.
Yeah.
I've been following them for years. I have always wanted to do that.
Some of the nicest, dude. I will set you up with Jeff and Hannah. They are some of the nicest people you'll ever come across. And
is that your first time to do it? Like, is it terrifying?
Yeah.
So people that don't know, noodling for catfish is reaching in a hole and catching the catfish underwater with your bare hands.
Yeah, it's letting a baby pit bull with fins bite your arm and you pull it out of the water is essentially how it works. So yeah, I became friends with Jeff and Hannah, obviously via Brantley. And Hannah was like, "Hey, are you guys going to come noodling?" And I was like, "Yeah, tell us when." Brantley's like, "Dude, I'm not going. Like sharks and water and the whole thing." He goes, "Keep going underwater for a fish." He goes, "I'm out." And I was like, "All right, well, here's the dates. Like, do you want to go?" And he goes, "Are you going?" I was like, "Let's go."
It's kind of man card at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
And so he goes, "Oh, dude, I hate you for this one, but I'm going." And so, we went down to Alabama and hung out with Jeff and them. And it was like, we hopped on the boat at like 10 p.m. and we're just cruising around the water. And it was like 3 a.m. at this point. And I was like, "Hey, what time are we noodling, by the way?" Because like right now we're just like cruising the water for zero reason at all besides just hanging out. And he goes, Well, Jeff's super redneck, but the nicest guy. He goes, "Well, heck, do you want to jump out of the boat and get you a fish?" I said, "Hell yeah, dude. It's 3 a.m. I'd rather go to bed or get off this boat in the water. Like, what are we doing?" And he goes, "All right, let's do it." And so he hops out of the boat. They pull the boat over, hops out. I rip my shirt off. I hop in the water and Jeff's just dunking me under while he's holding my back. And he goes, "All right, you just got to close your fist. You're going to shove it in there." He goes, "Don't open your hand though. It'll snap your wrist." And so
kidding.
you literally just shove your hand in there and that catfish just chomps and chomps. And so like your immediate reaction is to pull it back. Right. And he goes, "No, you just keep feeding it. And so you just let it latch on and then you just grab it and pull it out. Yeah.
That's wild. I've always wanted to, like, my thing is I want to go with somebody that reaches in and goes, "Okay, that is a catfish. It's not a beaver. It's not a snapping turtle." Like,
yeah. Well, so Jeff,
because I've killed like 60-pound snapping turtles at my farm. So I've seen stuff that I'm like, no.
Yeah. Hard pass.
So like, I want Jeff to go, that's a fish.
Jeff's got like a turtle be good stick or whatever he calls it. And like puts it in the hole and he goes, he can tell by the bite, I guess, that it's a catfish. And so he goes, "Yeah, this is a good one. We're good to go." I'm like, "All right, pal, whatever you say." So Brantley was like, "Dude, you got some nuts jumping in there at 3 a.m. Like it's pitch black dark. Like we just got a couple like cell phone lights and a little, battery operated light that's going in and out. We got Jeff and Hannah. We're fine." And he goes, so the next day happens and Brantley goes, "All right, dude, I'm going in." I was like, "Hell yeah, you are." And so he jumped in and he's like, "Dude, I wasn't going to do it like at first, but when I saw like the 120-pound little girl pull out a 60-pound catfish, I couldn't not do it." And I was like, "Yeah, I couldn't do it either." He goes, "Yeah." So we had a blast, dude. And if you want to go, I will text Jeff.
So
now.
I've got a friend that owns place called Blue Water Catfish over here in Eagleville, and I've asked him for years. I've never done it, but I'm like, it's a pay lake, so I'm like, "Hey, like at the end of the season, can I come like wrestle your catfish?"
Yes.
And he's like, "Yeah, man, no problem." But I gotta take him up on that. So
you absolutely should. It's fun, dude. It's different.
Oh yeah,
it's different.
Oh yeah,
it is so fun.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So, well, man, as we kind of start to get towards the end of this and wrap things up, I had two more questions I wanted to ask you. First and foremost, what's your favorite Brantley song? And I'll tell you mine, and I guarantee you can't guess it.
Shoot, you probably couldn't guess mine. I've been asking Brantley lately quite often if he would play this song live with him and just a piano. I don't think he knows how to play piano, but Adam, our one of our guys, he can play piano very well. But 3 Feet of Water.
Oh, it's a fantastic song.
One
fantastic.
Yeah, and like, man, that song just gets me every time. And like, I'm not a super churchgoer guy. Like, I believe and all that sort of stuff, but like, man, you probably will not
deep.
find me at church, but like,
I think
song,
the only way to do that song would be him and a piano.
yeah,
Like, it would be phenomenal.
Just all black arena, light on Brantley and piano. And like, that's it. 3 Feet of Water is
that's
my Brantley
fantastic.
song. Yeah.
So mine, without a doubt, was Never a Single Anything, Saving Amy.
Oh, dude. What a song. By
far, I think the best song he's ever written. Wouldn't really work for radio, I guess. Yeah. But that's the thing. Some of Brantley's stuff, some of his best stuff was stuff that never made it out.
And it was stuff that wasn't like rocker.
No, not at all.
Heavy.
Like ballads.
Yeah, 100% ballads.
Saving Amy is by far my favorite song.
I love that you said that.
So good.
Love that you said that.
So good. So, and number 2, like to ask all my guests, tell us something you love about living here in Middle Tennessee. Like, what makes it special compared to where you've lived before?
I've never been asked that.
Yeah.
I've never been asked that. People are like, hey, do you love living in Tennessee? I said, yeah, I do love it.
You from Washington, I mean, and you travel everywhere. What makes Middle Tennessee different and special?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of the world. Coming from Washington State, the people there are like cold. They're like, you're not walking by somebody and being like, hey, how you doing? Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Like here, if you give somebody a 2-finger wave, they're giving it back to you. It's not the middle finger. Like if you did that back in Washington, they'd be like, or turn around, and here it's, everybody's pretty damn nice for the most part, and like in the grocery store, if you need something, like, hey, it's on aisle 6, back home, if you ask, you go to Lowe's or, something like that. Maybe that's not a great example because Lowe's is whatever, but back home, people would just, brush you off or just be like, yeah, it's right there. Can you not see it? But, here it's like, yeah, hey, it's right over here. Let me grab it for you. Yeah. It's just that. It's just a different culture here as opposed to back there. And it's starting to shift a little bit, just with the influx of individuals. But I think the individuals that are native here or have been here for, 13, 14 years, like myself, and like I've shifted to how nice I am because I was pretty cold at the beginning. But, that has worn off on me to be like, yes, ma'am, no, sir, those types of things. And I think that will ultimately rub off on the California folks that are here now.
That's awesome, man.
So
love to hear that. So,
yeah.
Always want to give a thank you gift for everybody that comes. So I got you your own 615 hat.
Oh, perfect.
Rock.
Yupon Classic, baby.
There you go.
Yes.
So rock that out there.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming, man. And
dude, thanks for having me.
Dude, give BG my best, man. I love that guy like a brother. You guys are doing big things out there, and maybe we'll get him on here one day. But man, this was fun. Yeah. I appreciate you coming, man.
Let's go to a show.
Let's do it, brother.
Let's do that.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
See you, bud.
Thank you so much.